guys, Morelli here with the rest of the games from the Cartridge tour. Let's get right into it. He didn't actually sign up on the thread, so I don't know who they are. But thanks for joining this competition, and I hope to see more from you. As for the team preview, it looks like they have a setup-based team from Regieleki with dual screens. So I want to lead with the Cinderace to threaten big damage before they can get the screens up. I will have Mimikyu and Calyrex in the back, because Calyrex with Trick Room up looks very threatening, but I want to set it up safely and against Yveltal, and Mimikyu will let me do that exactly. So he leads with the Regieleki as I predicted. I go with the Cinderace. Depending on how the Regieleki is trained, it might live this high jump kick. It is already so fast, so it could be bulk invested, but I missed the high jump kick and he gets the reflect up, so that is not a good start for me. But I have no choice but to go for this high jump kick here, and I do above 50 this time, so if it were the same roll, I would have just gotten the first KO. So that is unfortunate, but I am going to be able to get this 2-hit KO, hopefully at least, which will let me preserve the Mimikyu disguise, and I land this time as well, so that is nice. And that's why I said you have to be careful with your dedicated leads. So if the high jump kick hit on turn 1, that was really bad for him. I am going to sack my Cinderace here. I have very little options, and it's unfortunate that I had to he doesn't have to Dynamax this turn because of the Reflect, but it's good for me that he chooses to Dynamax anyways. It does very little damage. He gets to Airstream up. That should kill the Cinderace very easily, but that means I can use my Mimikyu to get my Trick Room up here right now. Now the Yveltal spent its first turn of Dynamax. I am going to actually substitute here first, and that will let me stall out an extra turn of Reflect. But I don't want to substitute all the way down and then Trick Room at last, because I am afraid of the potential taunt on the Yveltal. So I'm going to substitute here now, and that way I am going to be able to Trick Room on the third turn of Dynamax, and that way he has no option to taunt me or anything like that. So I go for the substitute here. He is forced to break it. I am going to go for the Trick Room, and he goes for Max Airstream. Fair. But I am able to finally get the Trick Room here, and yeah, this is exactly how this team is supposed to play out. So I got the offensive momentum with Cinderace lead, and in this game, because of the first turn high jump kick miss, he didn't have to Dynamax his Yveltal, but he Dynamaxed it anyways, and I got my Mimikyu inside and got the Trick Room up against the Dynamax Yveltal. I'm going to just sack my Mimikyu here right now to the Dark Pulse, and that is fine because at that HP, Yveltal is definitely in range of Glacial Lance or anything like that. I choose to Dynamax here because Life Orb Sucker Punch could be a lot of damage, so that's a main way to lose. But oh my god, I just made a really stupid mistake right there. I actually, instead of pressing the Dynamax button, I clicked Seed Bomb, but this guy forfeits, so I'm going to get the win. But wow, that was a very silly mistake. I'm only human, guys. This game is against Alinsco, and he has a very interesting team here. He has the Lapras and the Zacian core. I think it's very interesting because it helps Zacian survive hits. It can't Dynamax, and the screens help there. He has Quagsire and Tyranitar, good defensive backbone. I go with the Cinderace lead, which has good matchup against almost everything that he is likely to lead with. I have Quagsire, which has a good defensive matchup, and Calyrex also looking very threatening in Trick Room here. He leads with the Dragonite, and I lead with the Cinderace, as usual, I am going to be able to get a pretty safe U-turn here. Uh, I get to break the multi-scale, and I can go either into the Quagsire or the Calyrex with very little problems here. I get the U-turn off, and it does quite a bit, and I get to pick between Calyrex and Quagsire. I go Calyrex because just in case it is special, I don't want to take 40-50% from Hurricane or Air Slash. So I go for the Calyrex. He goes for the Dragon Dance, so that is good to know. That means that Quagsire can just stop it 100% on its own. And I'm going to go for the Trick Room here, and let's see what he has for the Quagsire, because he's certain to have something for it. It is Lapras, and so I feel pretty safe just Dynamaxing right away, going for the damage trade onto this Lapras, and I'm gonna force it to Dynamax to survive it, or he is forced to go into some very risky maneuvers. I I was just checking if he actually brought the Zacian. He did bring the Zacian. I get to Dynamax and go for the Max Overgrowth here, and that should do a lot of damage. And either he Max Geysers does quite a bit of damage to me, but he gets no screens up, or he goes for the Max Resonance, which should set the screens at least, but that's gonna do no damage to the Calyrex, and I'll just be able to stall out the screens turns with Quagsire in the back, with the Zacian against the Zacian and the Dragonite. So he does go for the Resonance here, and that does nothing to me. And because the first Overgrowth did about 2/3 damage, this should help him survive just a little bit, but because of the Overgrowth grassy terrain, this will going to KO the Lapras here. So that is nice. I do get the KO here. Um, and he has nothing left to stop the Quagsire, so this is pretty much game already, even though the game is only 2 versus 3. I am in a good position because he has nothing to stop the Quagsire from just sitting on him, basically. Zacian comes in. I am afraid this Max Quake is not going to get the kill, so I just take the safe route. I go into the Quagsire. Actually, it does get the kill, but it's good to know for next time, but that's why. And that is perfectly fine. I am going to be taking the Behemoth Blade or just about anything that he goes for. And I'm also faster, and that helps me recover in case I get crit or anything like that here. This is going to be a pretty safe one. I go for the Scald here instead of the counter, just in case he has Substitute or anything silly like that. He just goes for the close combat, so I'm guessing he has no Substitute. And I'm still gonna be able to recover from the Citrus and the grassy terrain and get a lot of the health back here. So this time I'm just gonna not risk anything, any crit sequences like that, and just go for the straight up counter that even a crit should not KO me here. And I go for the counter, but he forfeits. So good game to Alinsko. And now let's get into the third game. And the third game, wow, we have a very interesting team here with the Reshiram, the Ice Cream, and Eevee. I have no idea what his team is going to do, but I know that Cinderace leads pretty well here. I want to bring Chansey, and I do want to say, as someone who tries to make more serious content, there's nothing wrong with taking this game more casually. It's perfectly fine to bring your fun picks and have fun playing the game, because that's what we're all here for, right? And I know we had a lot of fun playing with this guy, so thank you for joining. Now let's get into the lead. He goes for the Vanillux, and I am going to be able to lead Cinderace against it. I just go for the Iron Head because I thought it would just easily get the KO here. We get the Snow Warning, so either he's going to go for strong Blizzards or he's going to go for the Aurora Veil. Is what Vanillux typically try to do. That actually does surprisingly little damage, so it's a cool Pokemon for sure. And I just take the hail damage, not a big deal. I just go for the Iron Head, thinking, oh, I'll get this KO. I miss out on it actually, so wow, what a very bulky Vanillux here. And I get Icy Winded. And I realize I am just going to switch around here a little bit to stall out the Veil turn. Vanillux is way less threatening than the Veil turns it summons on the field, so I think about either going to Calyrex or Chansey. I go into Calyrex because I'm a little bit afraid of the sheer cold, and ice types are immune to that. I go into the Calyrex, he goes for my abilities, activate both of my abilities, Unnerve, and he goes for the Icy Wind, so I could have gone into Chansey, but I am perfectly okay with this. My speed drop honestly does not matter. I go for the Trick Room, and he withdraws the Vanillux and goes into the Reshiram. So with this screens up, even the super effective Max Quake is not going to be KOing the Reshiram if it goes for the Dynamax. Screens and Dynamax has really good synergy with each other. It's basically practically impossible to KO through all that additional defenses. But yes, I do get the Dynamax correct on the Reshiram, and I go into the Chansey, and I'm gonna just set up Stealth Rocks here so the Vanillux can't come in or do anything silly like that. And just getting the KO like that is good for helping Calyrex set up. Any KO I can get means that I need less Trick Room turns to sweep him, so yep. He goes for the Overgrowth. That also does very little to me, and I should be in a pretty good position here with the Chansey. He gets a crit. If he went for the Max Flare, actually, that would have actually done quite a bit of damage, but unfortunately, he goes for the Grassy Terrain. I'm not exactly sure what his game plan is. Maybe he's trying to set up the Grassy Terrain for something else in the back. I'm not terribly sure. But if you guys were paying attention, the Veil turns are also over, and he won't be able to set it up again. And he also spent his Dynamax, so this is looking pretty good for Calyrex to just sweep him outright if I can just get the Trick Room. Chansey should be able to 1v1 this Reshiram. I think it doesn't get Roost anymore, so that is good. He goes for the Gallade, and that is a big threat to the Chansey. I don't want to just let go of the Chansey just yet. I am going to go for the Cinderace switch in. If he goes for close combat, I get just sack it. That is perfectly fine. I just don't want it to get multiple Swords Dance boosts up and get to one-shot the Calyrex, you know, and that would be really bad if I can't go for the Trick Room, right? But he goes for the Hypnosis, and he activates the Blunder Policy. What a cool set here. And honestly, at this point, I'm not too terribly sure if this Scarf Cinderace is faster than this Gallade. I go for the Pyro Ball. Hopefully I'm faster, and I'm thinking if it is I am faster, so I'm thinking this is gonna get the KO, but no, this is bulk invested. And it just knocks me out with a close combat. So that's very cool. And I'm thinking if he gets a few more Hypnosis hits, I could actually be in trouble. So let's see if what he does with the... I'm going to go into Calyrex. I'm not going to switch in Chansey to a physical fighting type, of course. I am going to go for the Trick Room. If he lands, I might be forced to Dynamax the Calyrex to stop it from just close combating me down. I go for the Trick Room and hope that Hypnosis doesn't land. Let's see what he does. But he just switches out the Gallade instead of going for the Hypnosis. And then that means that I'm going to be able to get the Trick Room and clean up the game here. But what a cool team this guy has. Thanks for joining. I hope you had fun. I hope to see more from you. And as I said in the previous video, these are mainly meant to be fun. And I'm definitely going to be hosting more of these. So if you just want to come out and have fun with your cool teams, uh, I'll let you guys know when the next one gets hosted. And now I'm just gonna let the rest of the battle play itself out. In this game, we have a very cool team and a very cool Pokemon in Wobbuffet. I want to mostly focus on what it does because it has a very strong impact on what I am picking here. It is able to trap Pokemon and go for Encore and counter and Mirror Coat. So both of my walls don't have Toxic, and that means that it can just trap it, go for the Encore and Mirror Coat the Quagsire, which is going to be very bad if I just get that Zacian counter removed. So I'm going to use the Cinderace to lead into it, and I'm going to be able to U-turn into that and go into the Mimikyu straight away, and that is going to deny the counter. He does not read the U-turn, and which is understandable here. I am going to be able to get a free switch into the Mimikyu here. He goes for the counter, and here I think I do make a little bit of a misplay here. I go for the Trick Room, but he goes into Zacian, but I think I should have just gone straight into the Cinderace back out, and that was going to be able to threaten the Zacian out with the Pyro Ball right away. This is quite an awkward position for me because I am almost forced to go for the Curse here. I cannot switch out especially because Cinderace is going to be faster than the Zacian with the Choice Scarf, so I'm going to go for the Behemoth Blade. I mean the Curse, and he goes for the Behemoth Blade, and that is perfectly fine by me. I'm just gonna get this Mimikyu out of here and get the Trick Room Calyrex going as early as possible. And I just go for the play rough here. I could stall out more turns with Substitute, but I want to just get this Mimikyu out of here so that I have at least a few more Trick Room turns to work with. But I go for the play rough, does minimal damage, but he goes for the Substitute, which is a bit of a misplay because he takes that curse damage and he dies from the next curse damage, so that this is really bad for him. I just get to get a free Substitute here. And understandably, he just goes right back into the Wobbuffet. I go for the Substitute, and here I go for the Play Rough. But because this is the final turn of Trick Room, I was also okay just going right out, back out into the Cinderace again. So I missed that, and but it is not the end of the world for me, even though it was a slight misplay because I can just go back into Cinderace this turn, and I really haven't missed anything, you know. And a good play by him going right back into the Zacian. If I were not Scarf on Cinderace, then this would be a pretty good position, but I just go for the Iron Head even though I just don't want to miss anything and lose the game off of a Pyro Ball miss. That would be really bad. So I just go for the Iron Head, and when the Wobbuffet comes in, I can just Dynamax this and get the KO on that as well. So Cinderace is going to do a lot of work here. I get to just click Max Flutterby on the Cinderace. I have no reason not to because it is in such a threatening position. And I just get to Dynamax. Let's see. And the Max Flutterby easily gets the KO, and let's see what his last is. And it is Lapras. A Dynamax Lapras still could be quite a bit of a threat here. I'm just gonna not gonna max Knuckle in case it is weakness policy. I just get to max Flutterby, reduce the damage it does as much as possible, and that way his Veils won't really be any meaningful here. And with the special attack drop, that actually does nothing. So I'm actually just gonna this time max Knuckle here because even a +2 will not save him here. But he forfeits. Good game, Biber. And yes, this was a pretty small tournament, but hopefully we can see more people joining this in the future. Bye.